Hello friends, my name's Angel. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to today's video, and today we're going to be doing my March reading wrap up. Listen, I know it's coming a little bit late, but it's because I fractured my foot a couple days ago and I've just been home. And so you think like, oh Angel, you've just been home, why couldn't you film? It's because I literally looked terrible because I was leaving the house. So like my hair wasn't washed, I just wasn't in a place to film. This angle's gonna kill me, but I do have a cute new boot now. It looks really cute. But yeah. So we're getting to this when we could get to it, but we're here now and it's okay. So I did read 15 books the month of March. I read 9 physical books, 2 audiobooks, and then 4 ebooks. So let's get into it. Also, I should say this was an incredible reading month. So out of 15 books I read, I found 4 new 5 stars. I did read 2 nonfiction books. If you guys know, my goal for the year is to read 5, and I read 2 alone in this month. And then also I read 3 of my Netgalley arcs and got my feedback ratio to 84%. So overall, we were doing really good this month. I'm very happy with how this went. I think we're gonna start off with the ones I don't have with me physically first. So both my audiobooks were nonfiction reads. They're the 2 I read this month, and also they're 2 of my 5 stars as well. These are both memoirs, and when I first went into listening to them, I was like, oh, I don't think I'm gonna rate a memoir, because I always say like, I don't think it's like my place to put a rating on your life experience, like how well you told me it. However, my mind changed when I read these, because I was like, no, this is a 5 star. Like I just like 5 star feelings when I read them. And so therefore I'm like, well then no, like if you give me a 5 star feeling, I feel like I should still give you that. Like, you know, I should still give you that at least. So I'm gonna rate it, and it's gonna be a 5 star. The first one was Butterfly by Yusra Mardini, and this is like her story from refugee to Olympia. She grew up in Syria, and so it does show some of her younger life before the war and like her swimming journey and all that stuff. And then it goes more into like the war starting, and then eventually to the point where it did get bad enough where she left the country for her own safety. Her journey to Germany and how her and her sister got there and the path they had to take, things they experienced, people they ran into, and then again how they just adjusted to life in Germany once they got there. I really enjoy this one. I think a new thing I've realized is that if there's any kind of like world events or like things that have taken place that I want to learn more about, I think memoirs would be a great place to do that, because honestly you're not really going to get better information than directly from a direct source. Does that make sense? And then I wasn't even planning on reading this month at all, but I got an early skip the line loan of I'm Glad My Mom Died by Janet McCurdy on Libby, where I had it for 7 days, so obviously I had to grab it quickly. This also, I'm not gonna lie, the loan came up right as like all the stuff about Quiet on Set was coming out, the documentary about Nickelodeon. I was just very intrigued. I was like, you know what, it's time. There is a lot of triggering content in this book though, especially surrounding like eating disorders especially, and so just make sure you're being very careful when you read this and you check trigger warnings beforehand. But it's like her entire journey, pretty much like from like child actor to work on Nickelodeon to then afterwards, and kind of shows like her entire life story. And obviously the main focus of this is her relationship with her mom and how that shaped her as a person. I actually enjoyed it, and I've discovered that if I read a memoir and like you're super vulnerable, it's gonna be a 5 star, because thank you for sharing, you know? Then I read just like one regular ebook, and that was the Happily Ever After playlist by Abby Jimenez. If you guys know, the past 2 reads by Abby Jimenez for me have been 5 stars. Yours truly and Just for Summer, both 5 star reads. I love them. This one was a 3.5. I think she didn't like fully come into her writing style yet during this one. I still really enjoyed it, but definitely like less than her current work. This one's like, he's a pop star, she's a regular girl, and she's also grieving over her husband who she lost 2 years ago. I really noticed when there were some minor things communication wise I wish had been a little bit different. This book was written in dual POV, and there were some instances where like we'd be in her POV and something would happen and she'd be upset and she'd leave. And then also we'd be in his POV and be like, oh, she came back, and she's like, oh, I know you never do that, actually, it's fine. And I'd be like, okay, but like where was like her POV and her revelation of thinking that, and be like, oh, I should go back and apologize. We didn't get that. Had some like little instances where like we missed parts I would have liked to see in the other POV, if that makes sense to anybody else. But there's like little things. My Netgalley arcs, the first one was Expiration Dates. This was a 3.75 star. This was really cool. It had some aspects of magical realism in it. I pretty much said, if you enjoyed the 7-year slip, I think you'd enjoy this. Pretty much in this book, whenever our main character gets into a relationship with anybody, she gets a piece of paper that says their name and exactly how long she's gonna be with that person for. This takes like, not the fun or romance out of dating, but she'll like literally see like, oh, you're gonna be with this person for 6 weeks. Now that you see like, oh, you know, like 2 years and 2 months, and she's like, oh, that's kind of sucks, a long time. Until one day she gets a piece of paper with the person's name on it and no end date. I actually really enjoy this one, and now it's making me think I should pick up In 5 Years by the same author that I've literally had on my TBR probably for 5 years. So maybe I should get on that. Now The Antique Hunter's Guide to Murder, this was a 3.25 star. I did enjoy this one, but it kind of just like was more so like a middle of the road murder mystery. Like it wasn't anything like new or really special. I think the premise of it was really cute. Obviously she owns an antique shop. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun when I was reading it, but I do think it was kind of predictable at points. The pacing was a little bit off at some points as well, and I did guess the ending. So I'm gonna say like it was a debut author. I think it was very good for a debut, but definitely like not like obviously the best murder mystery I've ever written. And then A Man Downstairs, this was a 3.5 star. This one got a little bit confusing at times because you are reading 3 different POVs into different timelines. So it wasn't like jumping around quite a little bit, but it wasn't like too ever hard to grasp. The problem with this one for me is that there's like some content in this that I was like, no, I wasn't the biggest fan of. And I get it was like a thriller, it was meant to be creepy and like weird, but I still was reading it and I was like, I don't like how that sits with me, and I don't like that. Now onto my physical books. This is not in the order, this is just the order that they're in the stack on my floor on, so let's go. First up, The Love Hypothesis by Ellie Hazelwood. This is my first Ellie Hazelwood read. I finally just did it, and this actually pleasantly surprised me, and I rated it a 4.25 star. Finished with this book before, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna like it, it's not gonna be my thing, blah, 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 and I actually enjoyed it. It's between a PhD candidate and a professor, and pretty much they decide to fake date each for like their own benefit. It was a lot of fun. Like, was it like the most groundbreaking literature I've read in my entire life? Absolutely not. But did I have a good time? Yeah. And this is one of those books where I kind of just got rated based on vibes, and the vibes were good, you know? I read the second book in the Prison Healer trilogy. This one I gave a 4.25 star. I will say, was this ending as shocking as the first book? No, but it was still a really good ending. Definitely still got me a little bit. I do think it set up the third book really well. I think these reads were fast. They're like page turning, keeping you hooked the entire time. I think it's because it's YA, but still, I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Then I read Redeemed by Lauren Asher, and this one pleasantly surprised me, and it was a 5-star read. And this one, following Chloe and Santi. You met Santi because he's Maya's brother from the first book, and pretty much right at the very beginning of the book, something like very traumatic happens to him, and you're like absolutely gutted and devastated. And then you meet Chloe, and her life also isn't the greatest currently, and you really feel for her. And they're kind of like fake dating. It is a great time. It is absolutely gut-wrenching though. A great time, you will cry. All right, friends, I'm hoping the lighting or angle doesn't change too much because I just have to take a break because my camera died and then my upstairs neighbor decided to start vacuuming. But I'm back now. I think I was just gushing about this book. Like I said, everything I said before, and it's a 5-star. Done. Conjuring Vote is a 4.75 stars. This is the last book in the Shades of Magic trilogy by V.E. Schwab. I thoroughly enjoyed this one. It was a little bit of a chonker. I think it's almost 700 pages, but it was thoroughly enjoyable. Obviously, I can't say too much about spoiling like previous books, but I loved how we had all of our characters kind of together. There's a really good redemption arc in there for a certain character. I feel like they all kind of got good endings, which is so important to me when a series finishes, that everybody kind of ends off in a decent-ish place. Then we picked up Ninth House. This was my last 5-star read of the month. Now, I'm not gonna lie to anybody, I was confused probably the first half of this book. Like, I'd say like at least till here. I was lost. Everything was going right over my head. I had no clue what was going on. But eventually everything started clicking and it was really enjoyable. I don't think I had 5-star feelings till about the last quarter of the book. That last part, literally just like we picked up and we absolutely ran with it. Like we were sprinting. I already have Hellbent over there looking at me on my TBR cart for April, and I have the ebook and audiobook out as well, so it will be getting read in April. Pretty much Alex had kind of a tough time in life and she has a full ride to Yale, but her like mystery people who funded her education are having her like kind of like spy on Yale's secret societies. Please, if you read this and you're confused, just keep tripping through. It will make sense eventually and it's gonna be great, okay? The Atlas 6 pretty much like cemented my knowledge that I love dark academia after Ninth House. This is a 4.5. Pretty much every 10 years, 6 most powerful magicians get kind of like brought in to join the Alexandrian Society, but only 5 of them get to join. And you kind of find out as you go along that maybe the reason why only 5 get in is because 1 doesn't make it out alive. This definitely reads like a character study, so you do have to enjoy the characters to enjoy this because it's very, very character driven and you do have 6 POVs you're following, but I did love them and so this was a good one for me. And I have already read The Atlas Paradox in April already and I love that as well. We'll talk about that next month though, don't worry. But I love this. Murder in the Family was a 4-star and pretty much imagine you're watching Forensic Files with the subtitles on and that's what this book is. Like you're literally reading an episode the entire time. So it's kind of like you're like reading an episode of Forensic Files. Is the vibe. Pretty much in this one of the directors of the show wants to have a season that's pretty much solving his stepdad's murder, where he was killed like 20 years ago and they still don't know who did it, and he wants it solved. So they call in a bunch of experts and they go on a 7-episode arc to find out who the killer was, and you're pretty much like going along with them as they're trying to figure it out. You're going through a lot of like interviews with people who are being called back in. There's like certain things, like there's like some voicemails you can look at, some text messages in between episodes, like chat threads, all that, but you're mostly just reading the episodes. I don't think I saw the ending coming, to be honest. Like if I could lie and say I did, but I don't think I did. I'd say it was a little bit fast paced near the ending. We were really going through it, but it catch me off guard. Are they vacuuming again? If you can hear them vacuuming, I'm really sorry. They were vacuuming for a long time before, so if I was in the clear, but you might be able to hear that. And you can, I'm sorry. We're not stopping now because we're almost done. We have a false start by Elsie Silver. This is a 4.5 star. I honestly didn't think I was gonna like this one too much because I'm normally not the biggest fan of age gap. Then I decided to give it a chance anyways because Heartless. Change my mind about that. Love that one. Also, this is the last book I had off Elsie Silver's backlist to read before Wild Love comes out on April 9th. So now I'm fully caught on her backlist and I'm ready to go for that one. I do love these indie printed covers and I do love that I have the indie copy of these, but also now Bloom just showed their covers and they are really pretty too. And I'm like, buy something I like my indie ones a lot. And lastly, Little Monsters. This one I gave a 3-star. And this is kind of like a literary fiction set in Cape Cod, and it kind of gave me the same vibes as The Connellys of County Dawn, if you've read that, where it kind of just feels like you're following along with kind of a very dysfunctional family, and it's more so like a family character study. This one I pretty much picked up, like literally the month ended on Sunday. I picked it up on Saturday, and I was like, well, no, I have to read it for Sunday so that it can count for my March reading wrap up. I feel like also because I was like forcing myself to read it, that might be why I wasn't rated as high either, but it is what it is. Everyone, these are the 15 books I read in the month of March. If you have read any of these, let me know your thoughts on them. If they agree with mine, disagree, it's okay. We can still talk about it. I think, like I said, I had a great reading month. I had 4 5 stars, 2 new nonfictions, and got those Netgalley ratios up. So if you guys like this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel out so much. I'm also on TikTok, Angel's Book Corner. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.